So our next guest is, there's all kinds of things happening in the literary industry. And so our next guest is starting a literary magazine, and it's called Kazi, oh no, KIZA, not Kazi, KIZA, Black Lit. And it debuts in January. So we wanted to have her on the show to talk about the magazine and what was her inspiration and how people can get it and what her objective and mission is. So let me see if I can pronounce her name. Njemile, is that it? Oh, we need you to unmute so then you can tell me what it should be.
It's Njemile.
Oh, and Njemile. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's the accent is on the first syllable.
On the second,
On the second syllable in Njemile. Okay. All right. Well, welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Hi, Gwen. Hi, Rhonda. Good to meet you.
Hello. It's good to meet you as well. Thank you for being here tonight.
And thank you for being here tonight. Existing in the world.
Well, tell us about first, why a literary magazine at this time? Because there have been over the years, I don't know if you, for me, there have been a lot of magazines that are Black literary magazines that have come and gone. There was one big one in the 2000s called, did it have Manners at the, I can't remember, but it was around for several years, and it's challenging to keep them going just from a business standpoint. So why a magazine and why now?
Why now is a really great question for me, because this has been brewing in my soul and spirit for a very, very long time. When I went off to college, it was my intention to go and start a Black literary magazine, and that was a long time ago. And I went off into other careers, other activities, marriage, children, the whole nine. And it just happened, really. After all this time, because the seed was there and some watering happened, it began to grow. And the watering that happened was my starting a nonprofit called Next Level Publications Group. That grew out of my freelance work of doing writing and editing for all kinds of folks. And so when I changed it over to becoming a nonprofit, the point was to celebrate Black literary arts and artists, because we need celebration. We need support. Black literary artists need support. They need to be heard. They need to be known. They are the part of the glue that holds our communities together, because one of the things that they represent the fireside, where there's so much nurturing that takes place, that traditionally has taken place within Black culture all over the world, in Africa, Asia, North America, South America. We gather around the fire and tell the stories of who we are. And that's what our literary artists do for us. And so we need to celebrate that. I wanted to celebrate that. I wanted to celebrate it back in the day, going off to college, because I love to read. And I just wanted to be in a place where I could present good writing, present writing. So that's why now. It's why now, because there was enough sunshine and enough water in my soul and spirit to make it happen. And a Black literary magazine, because we are so literary in what we do. And so KIZA, that's how you pronounce that, KIZA. KIZA is actually the Kiswahili word for story. It comes from the Kiswahili word for story. The actual word is KISA, K-I-S-A. But we wanted to give it a little bit more edge. So we changed the S to a Z and made it KIZA. KIZA is all about the story, and we're going to be presenting all types of literature, fiction, nonfiction, poetry, storytelling, lyrics, scripts for stage and screen. So we want that whole gamut of the storytelling that's a part of our experience, that describes our experience and makes meaning of our experience to be shown and known.
Well, you said a mouthful. But now with all of that said, my question is, it sounds like you're going to be very judicious about the work that you accept for the magazine, because I went to your website and there was a space where people can submit their work. Do you kind of have a panel to decide what will actually go in? Is everything that gets submitted going in, or do you kind of go through it, analyze it, make sure it reaches a certain standard?
We will select. Initially, the first round of selection is based on the subject matter, because there is a certain ambiance that we want to have, a certain idea that we want to present. Like I heard you mention on another interview, Rhonda, that I was looking over some of your past interviews, and you talked about how something was just kind of normal, kind of what you would expect, some stereotypical presentations of Black folks, and stereotypical representations in each category. For example, romance. Now, you can talk about some of the difficulties that we have that we experience, that people experience in romance, and that people experience in romance. But there are some nuances about love that are not often presented in media about Black people. And some of those nuances have to do with who we love and how deeply we love. And I want that kind of thing to show. I want to show us talking about how we do get over. We in the struggle, but not struggling. You know what I mean?
Right.
Living and loving each other, loving our sisters, loving our brothers, loving our uncles, aunts, loving the person who's walking down the street who needs some attention in that moment, and giving that attention. Like, for example, I have a sister friend who has been for months embracing a mom who lost her child, whose child had already lost his other parent. And so that kind of love, that kind of experience, that kind of, the routine, the tradition of taking on what we now call adopted children, that we back in the day called another sister or brother. I found out doing some family history that one of my aunts, my great aunt, was not a full sister of my grandmother.
Oh, wow.
And we had no idea. And she was just a wonderful, loving person. And so some of these types of stories, I want to get told. Black, how we deal with power, how we deal with examining ourselves, how we deal with being in an environment that is not necessarily for us, but we make it happen anyway.
Yes.
We've done that. And so those are the kinds of that kind of depth of who we are. We want to see that kind of thing presented. And we do have a panel. It's a small panel right now because we are just coming out of the gate. And so it kind of fits the amount of submissions that we have. And so bring those submissions on, folks. You can see up here, submit. Also subscribe to the magazine. It's going to be free right now. The digital edition, the online edition is free. Starting in April, you'll be able to order the print edition, and that will have a subscription price. and we'll let you know later on what that is. And so, so
And you also have advertisement available in the magazine.
absolutely, yes, advertising is available.
Now,
And it's
how often are you publishing? Is it
quarterly.
monthly? Quarterly, okay.
Mhm.
Well,
So-
that's good. That's good to get started with, because we had my husband and I had a magazine years ago, and we started off, we were monthly, and those months roll around really fast.
They do.
So
Oh my
fast.
As soon as
goodness.
you're done putting the one to bed,
Oh my
it
goodness.
seems like the other one, I mean, they roll around very, very fast. And so it quarterly is good, that because you can always be more, increase the frequency. Increasing the frequency is better than having to decrease the frequency.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Decrease
Absolutely.
it, it's like, okay, there's something going on, in a negative way. But if you increase it, then that's momentum.
Right, right. And you mentioned that there have been Black literary magazines that come and go. And there are a few, like Callaloo has been around for
Yes, Callaloo.
a good amount of time. Fire is fairly new. Magazine of Black speculative fiction. They're great, based on they pattern themselves after one that was done back in the Harlem Renaissance that was called Fire. It had only one issue,
Yeah.
and they're coming behind that. So they're not a few; it's a handful. And so, a dream that I had over 40 years ago, I'm going to tell you how many years over 40 years ago that was, but a dream that I had over 40 years ago is still relevant. You have writers coming on here back to back, every week. So they're having that space for them to speak is just a natural thing. And we have a few Black literary magazines, and there are hundreds of non-Black, not necessarily Black, literary magazines. So, why would we not be represented? Why would we not be in print with all the writers that we have around, all the artists that can beautify the pages? Why would we not be there?
Right.
I wish I could remember the name of that magazine. That is going to bother me until I get off the show. It was in like the early 2000s, and it was around for several years.
Well, there was Shades of Romance. I'm not sure if that's one you're talking about.
No, it's not. It wasn't a romance. They did all overall. They did
Okay.
the book industry overall. And I want to say that It Matters was in the title. I'm trying to Google it and see if I can find anything. But anyway.
Oh, I know what magazine you're talking about. I can't think of the name. It is Something Matters.
It was Something Matters.
Shonda Block, I believe, was the one who did that one, right?
Who?
What's her name? Shonda Block?
I thought it was a man that did it.
Okay.
Okay, don't make me get on my my research.
I know we're all about to start Googling.
Yeah,
right.
It's gonna bother me until I figure it out. But anyway, and see, as soon as I get off, as soon as we end the show,
it's gonna bother all three of us now. We're all gonna wake up at the same time in the middle of the night and message each other.
Well,
that was the name of it. That was it.
We finished. I'm gonna go look it up.
But are you all paying writers to submit?
No, and we're also not charging them to submit, which is a thing that happens. And there is space to charge them because there's a lot of editing involved. So there's work.
Yes.
There is work in it. So no, at this point, we're not yet paying them. We would like to get to that point. We intend to get to that point, but we're not there yet.
All right, so this is a good time to be a part of the magazine because they're advertising. You're charging a reduced rate for the advertising until April 2024, and people can submit their stories to the magazine free. Right.
Absolutely.
Now.
Right.
So this is a good time to get in and reach a new audience. And right now, you said your initial distribution is going to be about 5,000 people.
Yes,
that's actually great for a first magazine.
That is.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
It is a great time. The advertising is only $100 for a full page ad until April. But we never intend to get to the point where we will charge our literary artists who submit their work. We want to get to the point where we pay them, but not to the point where we charge them, unless they decide to take on some of our, for pay services, because as an organization, Next Level Publications Group still offers professional writing services. We do writing and editing for nonprofits, authors, who else? Website text, all kinds of things, strategic plans, business plans, grant writing, all that, ghost writing. So all those services are still provided. And that's
by your organization, by your nonprofit.
Yes, ma'am. Awesome. That's part of the funding that's part of our financial base.
Okay.
Okay. Because we wanted to do, not be a nonprofit that is dependent 100% on grants and donations and so forth. We wanted to have a more of an enterprise-based income foundation for what we do. And so we have some other projects that are underway that we'll announce when they're a little bit more mature.
Well, being dependent on donations and only, it can be challenging because you're constantly in a fundraising mode.
Absolutely. Everything is challenging. It all requires work. You have to work to produce products. You have to work to get contributions from individuals and foundations and whatever. It's all work. It's the kind of work that you choose to do. And one of the things that is part of our intent and the message is that within our communities, within ourselves as individuals and our communities, we have what we need in order to thrive. We can produce for ourselves. And so we want to give that message and live that message. Do for self, build up, build within, and trade with each other, support each other, give to each other. And it doesn't have to be in a formal sense, but in a way of life sense, that we're sharing our talents, our skills, our productivity, and we're building productivity, and we're becoming self-governing individuals in a self-governing community. That's what we want to have.
So now, what are your guidelines for somebody who would want to submit to your magazine?
Now, that is a very, very good question. What are the submission guidelines? To find out what those submission guidelines are, you can go to nopginc.com/guidelines, and it lists everything. Basically, there are only a few things that we don't do. We don't do erotica. That's pretty, and all of our submitters have to identify as Black. We like the subject matters that I talked about, self-regeneration, self-exploration, power, development, all that. And your work does not have to be unpublished. A lot of literary magazines require that the work not have been published before.
Okay.
I believe that within our community, within the Black community, authors continually need to be supported and provided a platform in order to produce their work and to sell their work and to earn a living from their work. And so we're not saying that if something has been published previously, we won't publish it. So basically it's fairly, there's a limit on the number of words.
I was going to ask about the word count.
Yeah.
7,500 words.
No more than.
That's a lot of words.
That's a lot of words.
I thought you say 750. So it's not like the length of a commentary. It's actually a literary work. It's like a short story. Okay.
So you can sit down with the magazine like you would sit down with a book.
Okay.
curl up and read and really enjoy, a whole lot of a variety of different stories.
Yeah, so if you're doing that, if that's your limit, the upper limit, that does require editing. The more words you have, the more words you have to edit. That's just
Right.
the nature of it.
And I'm sorry if I missed it, but did you say when the first issue?
January 5th.
January 5th. Okay, so that's right around the corner.
Yeah.
Right around the corner.
The release is imminent. So that's why we wanted to have her on so she could tell people about it so they could be on the lookout for it. Now, do you have social media where you're sharing some of the information, maybe not excerpts because it's not doesn't really lend itself to that, but just for announcement purposes and to prompt people about the magazine and so forth?
Right now, basically, we are only on Facebook. We have to build up our whole Facebook presence. And that's because basically I'm like that. I'm not very much of a Facebook person. And so, my energy is kind of has to grow and embrace that area. And that's what I'm doing, putting myself in the position of expanding and therefore putting the magazine and our team in the position of expanding to embrace social media and handle that and make sure everybody will, that our word gets out there through those media.
Right.
I'm looking forward. I will be a supporter.
Yeah, I'm looking forward
to that same website. I can go to that same website to subscribe to the magazine, correct?
Correct. Mm-hmm. Go there to subscribe and go there to submit your work. And all you're doing when you submit, well, one of the things that you're doing is letting us know that the work belongs to you. Okay, if there's more than one author, we have a special form a permission form that gets in addition to the submission form, so that the other author or authors can also give their permission. And we never take ownership of somebody's work, which is another difference between us and other literary magazines and the big presses, the big five, and other publishers. They take possession of someone's work. What we have is permission to print it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when in projects like this, so much is dependent on the person's passion to launch it and execute and see it through and keep it going. And it sounds like your passion it runs deep because you've been holding on for decades. And so, that's a person who doesn't give up, which is good.
And interestingly, it's not something that I was pacing the room saying, when am I going to get this magazine out? Oh, I want to do. Oh, I got to do this. It was there. It lived on its own. It had a life of its own, and it gave birth when it was ready.
There you go.
That's a great way to end the interview. And we are very excited about your launch and behind you 100%. And KIZA is set to launch January the 5th, did you say?
Yes, ma'am. January 5th.
Of 2024. And so everybody be on the lookout for the publication. And when you launch, when it's live, please send us the link to and some art, maybe the cover. And we'll post it on our Facebook platform.
Absolutely. Thank you. I so appreciate the fact that you're here also doing the same thing, providing this platform for authors and other people within the publishing industry to bring together Black arts and entertainment. There's so much happening in the industry.
And we're so glad to continue to support authors, both up and coming and established, and then people who support those authors, people like yourself who are continue to give these authors a platform. I think that's what it's all about. And so I'm happy to support you. We're glad you're supporting the show, and we should just keep it going.
Absolutely. Keep it going exponentially. Woo!
Yes.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Well, thank you so much for being a guest on Black Authors Matter TV, and much success with your launch. And don't forget to let us know when it's live so we can post it.
Will do. Y'all have a great day.
You too.
Okay. Thank
Good night.
you.
Bye
Happy
bye.
holidays.
Happy holidays.